I feel like it's going to be short and sweet, but hopefully not as short as our previous cast, Nate, because I don't think that
No.
qualified as a cast. So let's get
I
it on.
like hanging out with you, Kev, okay? That one was very short.
Same, mate. That was painful. That was 10 minutes flat, entire best of 3. Let's not do that again. In the bottom left side of Data C, we are looking at the main base of the American Protoss player. It's PiLiPiLi.
And his opponent in the northeast, we have the blue Zerg player representing Psystorm Gaming. He's Namshar.
I'm just wondering what kind of 2-base all-in can we come up with. It could very well be 1 gate fast expand into a Robo, maybe disrupted drop into Colossus follow-up, and then we warp in a bunch of gateway units and we go for it. There's also a chance he does something cool with DTs. I don't know. I feel like Pili has always been a bit of a DT boy. But the one thing I do not expect him to do is make 3 oracles, go up to 3 bases, and play Blinkstalker, Zello, Double Forge. Like, I just don't think that's really his strategy.
You know, my memory when I think about PiLiPiLi, I think about somebody that does like to be a little bit cheeky from time to time. Throw something wild at you, keep it interesting and fresh. And Namshar, I remember when he moved to North America, and the conversation was like, man, people play here so crazy. And it was around that time that like TLO had moved over, and he was like, man, you know, I thought I was kind of a weird player, but there's just so much strange builds that people will throw at you on NA. So so it keeps it fresh. You know, it's kind of impossible to really guess what exactly they'll do in any given game.
Hey, if I do think back of like 2017, 2018 Namshar, I really thought that Namshar would be in the running to potentially win one of these DreamHack NAs, and it would obviously never be easy because Neep is there, and you obviously had Scarlet, and over time Australia became incredibly good. It's just at the moment he moved, at first he was playing, but then he just kind of started playing a bit less, and never really got close to being a real contender to win it all. But he does always qualify, he does always pick up his wins, and has made it into the playoffs a decent amount of time. So Namshar is definitely a force to be reckoned with in this video. He's just not quite one of the top dogs.
Yeah, I think, you know, for whatever reasons we could surmise, it's not as big of a deal. He is here, he is competing and giving us some good StarCraft to watch. So the Overlord going into the main base, will it get picked off by the Stalker? Yes, but not before scouting the Stargate. Not really a surprising thing to see out of a Protoss. Having it tucked in is, I don't know. I don't think that's really that crazy either. We've had a lot of guys building at the edge of their base, but Roddy, I don't think it's an earth-shattering revelation. But Namshar is going into his... Okay, you know what? Never mind. Never mind. You know what? I'm walking out of the...
No, I was like, there is 0% chance that PiLiPiLi is indeed just going to be our Oracle boy. And then Namshar is the one who's truly switching things up, as that's what my what was about. His lair is really quick, like ultra quick. And now he drops
3-minute fleet beacon?
Yeah, well, 3-minute fleet beacon against a 3-minute and 30-second finished lair. So is this like Nidus or Roach? Like, what exactly is Namshar cooking up here? I've got no idea. And I also really wonder what Pili is going to do, but that seems to be maybe just like a good old carrier opening. You know, we open up with 4 carriers and we take it from there.
This is going to be the craziest thing I say all day, but going 2 Stargate fleet beacon this fast, do you think maybe he needs the 50 gas he put into Warp Gate? Is he going to warp a lot lot of units in with this?
No, what Tempest? Okay, well, this is a blast from the past. We did see this a while ago, but it's honestly has fallen out of fashion. Zerg players just got too damn good in dealing with this kind of stuff. They realized they shouldn't build Hydras of a weak economy. Just drone up like crazy. Buy time with your queens, make a couple of Corruptors, and the world is yours. There's a good chance that Pili does want to go into like some sort of a Zealot follow-up. But Nate, this is not like any game that I've played recently, and not like any games I've casted recently. And especially from Namshar, I also find it surprising, but he's kind of playing it out in a normal way, except for the fact that he went for world's quickest lair, and he didn't even bother to get Zergling speed. But this could be some sort of a read that he has on his opponent, where he's like, I know that Pili never moves out with 1 or 2 adepts. I don't need Zergling speed against him. This dude is weird. I'm just going to go for a quick lair, and I'm not going to spend 100 gas on link speed. But now we are making roaches against Tempest, and I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine on how this is going to play out.
Yeah, this game got deep fried really quickly. He's rushing tectonic destabilizers, and you know what, Roddy is actually he looked into the future. He has the third eye. He knew he'd get Nidus rushed, and that's why he needed the anti-building damage so that the Tempest can kill the building Nidus worm faster. He could make sure it wouldn't be able to finish.
I'll guarantee you that that's an interaction I've never seen before, Nate. And I was actually going to ask you, I was like, does the Tempest upgrade deal extra damage against the Nidus?
I'm not sure. If my life's on the line, I'd rather not answer the question because I really don't know. But I'm going to
yes. Like,
assume yes.
Yeah, same. It makes sense, but that's honestly an interaction I've never seen before. Imagine Namshar right now. He's like ready to Nidus a Protoss, and he's like, he's got 4 Tempests. Like, I don't even know if this is good or bad. Tempests have very low DPS, and if the Nidus does go up, I think it's very good for Namshar because Tempests are slow as hell in cleaning stuff up. Here come all the roaches, and I guess we're gonna get a couple of queens. But the thing is, there's a lot of micro potential in Tempest. This is just a bizarre game, man. This is really, really, really weird.
Yeah, he's cut off the reinforcements with his Tempest, but he's building Void Rays at home. I was gonna say, at least he can build Void Rays, which should be good against the roaches, but they're not out yet, and he does have Queen spreading creep inside of his main, so now we get the probes intertwined amongst all the roaches fighting for their lives. And now the Void Ray comes on, turns on the microwave beam, 51 drones to 35 probes, and he's got 3 creep tumors in his base.
I do think I would stop building roaches now immediately because you are actually not going to kill everything. I think Namshar needs to drone up and needs to start building a spire real quick. If he doesn't, he's actually still in all sorts of trouble.
You see how fast that worm died?
Yeah, he knew it, Nate. He knew. Ahead of the meta. Yeah, you need to drop a spire right now. Like, just keep droning, keep building queens, and build the spire. Then you'll be fine.
This is so awkward because he doesn't have an oracle either. So the ability to get rid of the creep isn't there, which means he can't repower his Twilight Council or one of his gateways in his main. So if it's, yeah, it is going to be a spire. But I guess we're pretty committed to the air now.
There is a world where PiLi still wins this game, and I know it's very unlikely right now, but that is that if he finds the spire. If he gets on top of the spire and he kills it, obviously Spore Crawlers stand no chance against all these Tempests. We are going to get another Nidus network up, but that one is going to get denied. PiLiPiLi just needs to find the spire. If he finds the spire, he really has a shot at still winning this game. But if the Corruptors ever come out, then he's dead. But right now, I'm starting to believe a little bit, Nate, because the Tempests are already right where they're supposed to be. Roaches is still counterattacking. We don't want to lose a Tempest against Queens, though. This is the battle of the Tempest, mate.
Yeah, trying to micro those Tempests away from the Queens, like you were saying. One of them did die, unfortunately. The Spire is still going up inside of the main base, so has not gotten a read on that. Roaches pushed through the natural and back into the main base once more. He can spawn Nidus worms forever because he has vision, and there's no detection. There's nothing to kill the creep tumors. I don't even think one Oracle would be able to get all of them without having to wait for multiple revelations. So this is it. He's in the main, I guess. Turn on Pulsar Beam, or turn on, Prismatic Alignment, kill the lair.
This is sick,
and
though.
as soon as the Corruptors appear, you need to recall. But will the main base still be there? Does he have it? He does have it available.
Like, it would actually be a decent fight if Prismatic Alignment was available with 3 Void Rays, 4 Tempests against 10 Corruptors. I think you kind of be okay, especially because a couple of Corruptors would pop by 1. But don't forget that now it's technically 2 base against 1. But yeah, I would like to indeed see him recall. Why take the risk? Why don't you just go ahead and go home right now? That's not a fight you really want to take. PiLi recalls, he leaves out.
Oh, what? 2 get left behind? Yeah, I would have loved if he had focused the Nidus network and then recalled. I think that might have been a good way to stop Namshar from like kind of jumping all over the map still. But he has the tech that he needs. He already has roach speed. He has the Spire. I think maybe he just needs to spread some creep up from the natural into the main to save his tech. And he does have all of his drones on that base in the northwest that's about to finish.
Yeah, that's a big base, obviously, if that one goes up and running. And don't forget that the Spire is actually still alive. At the moment, it is bleeding out, but we can still build more Corruptors. And the only thing that PiLiPiLi can really build that's remotely decent is obviously coming out of the Stargate. Yeah, PiLiPiLi definitely made a mistake by letting the Spire finish up, or at least letting it survive. It was hard to find it immediately, but after killing the third, killing the main, if he then kills the Spire and he recalls, he's in one hell of a spot, because that was the lair too. So Namshar wouldn't even have been able to rebuild that Spire immediately. Now, I just kind of wonder what's going through the mind of the people that just opened this stream. It's like, all right, 10 minutes in, wait, what on earth happened in this game?
Yeah, well, welcome to America. Welcome to American StarCraft, ladies and gentlemen. This is what you signed up for. One of those creep tumors is still up inside of PiLiPiLi's main. The Oracle, of course. Now, with those changes to Revelation that happened 5 years ago, you can still kind of get faster Revelates if he wants to clear that creep tumor. He may not be aware that it is still there, but as long as the Nidus network is alive, at some point the Corruptors could push and just try to support the Worm and bring everything else out with it. So.
Yeah, but there is nothing on the ground right now, though. I don't think it's too much about the Nidus. It's a lot more about the economies and the Battle of the Skies. The Corrupt count is at 17. Void Ray count is at 6. Like, PiLiPiLi probably thinks that, hey, economically, this shouldn't be all that bad for me, because that base at 12 o'clock didn't even finish up yet, and I killed 2 out of 3 bases, so I'm kind of fine over here. But he doesn't know about the base in the top left.
No, he does not have that info, and he will get to fight over his shield battery at the 3rd, which is maybe the best possible place for him to take this little skirmish. There isn't anything to support in the main. Will warp in a Stalker. But if he's like, if you don't want to fight me, I can make you fight me. He's going to start to caustic spray the Nexus down as he's going to take a Void Ray and dip. Does get the prismatic alignment, and once it's canceled, you got to be careful, because those Corruptors could turn around and try to take that fight. And the Void Rays have speed. So I suppose that in a hypothetical situation where he completely stabilizes this, he can still go and try to do a little hit and run action. But as long as the Corruptors are threatening to just, puke all over his base and blow it up, he can't really do that.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised that PiLiPiLi wasn't willing to double down on SkyToss units, where we just go for some air upgrades. We already have Flux Veins, and if you get economically, or at least when it comes to the upgrades ahead, then you should be able to trade well against pure Corruptors too. Instead, he's going to try to transition into ground, which is just going to make Namshar forced to build a lot more roaches, as these Corruptors could be in a bit of a pickle right now. That is not a Nexus you want to commit to, with all these Void Rays nearby and obviously Battery Overcharge active. I mean, this is just a super random game. Maybe the ground army can indeed make the difference for PiLiPiLi, but every second that goes by right now favors Namshar by a metric ton. Why he's building a Spire? Oh my god, the Spire! He let the Spire die off creep.
It bled out?
It bled out.
Okay, well, let's and now I don't know. I think PiLiPiLi might have this. He's got so much stuff. He's been putting on a lot of pressure. He's going to try and bring it to him. Does he not have the prismatic alignment for the Void Rays? That might make things awkward. But he's got a lot of Stalkers. There it is, charging it up. So the Ravagers are going to do their best to hold the high ground. But he doesn't really have anything to maintain that vision once the Void Rays are dead either. So he will have to pull away.
Queens are so good in battles like that, because the DPS of those Protoss units is not crazy high. So having 4 or 5 Queens and obviously Spore Crawlers in the back to support just makes that Protoss army very weakened. In the end, it seems like Namshar got an overwhelmingly big victory there. Now PiLiPiLi, all that he's got left are a couple of Stalkers. They do have Blink, but they don't have any additional upgrades. They are forced to fight on creep against Roaches, Ravagers, and Queens once more. I mean, Stalkers are good, but they ain't that good.
I wonder if he sees those Roaches coming from the northwest and thinks to himself, I wonder if when I attacked him, he just took that northwest base. And he probably thought this game was a lot more economically even than it actually was. And he can do a lot with the Stalkers, but there's just so much money available for Namshar. He's got 3 mining bases, and I guess because one of them isn't his main. Oh, yeah, you're right. I can't count today, Kev, but I was thinking about... yeah, so he doesn't even have the main, so he can take that at some point again, whenever he wants.
He made 38 Zerglings, but he forgot he opened this game without Zergling speed. But that is also not going to make the difference.
It's the campaign push.
That is not going to make the difference. Namshar just has a little too much, and PiLiPiLi will never be able to micro his way out of this. Still warping in a couple Stalkers, working on his own +1 for the Blinky boys, but... he is sweeping leaves on a windy day. Every Roach that he kills, 3 more show up. It's not going to go his way. But this was a very fun first game. He knows it. GG gets gold, probably uses the rewind function there for a split second, and he's like, oh,
I'd hope so.
Top left? Okay, top left it is.
Yeah. I just feel like I mean, you said it. There has to be a clear goal with that Tempest. And if you can, I think about it like a battlecruiser rush. That's the only way I can understand it is if you keep the Spire away, there's all sorts of abuse you can do with the air units against the Queens. Because do they have range or they have transfuse? Sure. But if you can pull out to those big air gaps that all of these maps have, and you can poke and prod down, like you think about it, he kills the lair, and then you kill the spawning pool is right there too. So you could just completely shut down all of the tech, and he has to start from square one. Just missed opportunities, really, I think is the best way to summarize that.
Yeah, he got a bit greedy, tried to get all 3 bases, but I also truly wonder how the fight would have gone, because Namshar had enough money to get 9 Corruptors, but those 9 Corruptors, they don't all spawn exactly at the same time, and of course they come from 3 different bases. If you save your prismatic alignment there, and you've got 4 Tempests and 3 Void Rays, you actually get a pretty even fight, and an even fight would obviously be very good after you just took out the 3rd base and the lair. But yeah, going into the natural was a mistake. Missing the recall for a split second was a mistake. And I think I personally, I mean, I'm a bit of a Stargate addict, I may admit, but I think I would double down on Stargate units rather than try to transition into Stalkers that don't have any upgrades. It's kind of feel like it all takes a little bit too long. But perhaps the idea was make Namshar overproduce Corruptors, and I surprised him with the Blink Stalkers, but we did already have roach speed and whatnot. So I don't know. It was a fun game though, and I think I will remember this line of the middle of your cast for a long time. The Tempest are picking up the reinforcements. That's when you know it's NA StarCraft, baby.
Yeah, it's got 4 Tempests over the middle of the map, just taking one roach at a time. Beautiful to see. Yeah, there's so many layers to what we just watched that I'm still speechless. But you know what? I hope he does it again. Cosmic Sapphire, great map for Tempest. Go for it. YOLO. Let's see it.
Yeah, I think in PiLiPiLi's ideal world, obviously, he just wanted to make Tempest to put them in sweet spots, pick off drone after drone, because Tempest do one-shot workers. And obviously, if you can get up to 4 or 5, you can start putting some serious pressure on the Queens. Then maybe you can even get drones, Queens, and 1 hatchery. Then you recall out, and then you'd obviously be ahead. But I don't think part of the Tempest was getting Nidus. And if he was able to just deny that first Nidus, like imagine if 1 Tempest just spawns, and that Nidus goes up with that building upgrade, like the Tempest would absolutely probably take care of that by itself, and then this would be a really good game, because spamming roaches against double Stargate on the other side of the map is not going to be ideal, but that is just a fun one that could have played out in many different ways.
Yeah. And we have everybody in the lobby. Players are readying up, so we're going to get into game number 2 and just find out whatever the heck is going to happen. But I like that we just, we kind of were like, okay, PiLiPiLi, we don't expect him to do something super standard, gets the Stargate. And I'm like, well, and then you're like, well, he might do something a little bit funky, but then just immediately Fleet Beacon. So I find that it is a little bit more difficult to commentate some of the NA games, because I have to use my brain so much more than I normally do.
Yeah, no, it was good. It was fun, and I'm curious to see what these guys will come up with on Cosmic Sapphire. I think for PiLiPiLi, it's probably going to be a Robo. I'm really getting strong Robo vibes out of him. We open up with a Disrupted drop or 2, land a couple of Novas, followed up with a Colossus. I think that's the kind of stuff. I wonder if Namshar once more has a crazy opening, because let's not forget that his build was far from standard. His lair was done 3 minutes and 30 seconds in, did not start Zergling speed. Eventually forgot about the fact that he didn't have Zergling speed and made 40 links, but he was far enough ahead to get away with that. As it seems like we have a quick pause. PiLiPiLi apparently entered windowed mode.
It is a little bit difficult, I think, to play high-level StarCraft in windowed mode, so definitely something that you would want to fix.
I think
Alt plus Enter. That's the hotkey you got to avoid pressing on accident.
Really?
Yes. Yeah, that's like a kind of normal full-screen hotkey for most applications on Windows.
I did not know that. I've never even heard of that.
Yeah.
But I believe you, because you've always been way better in tech stuff than I have, Nick.
I'm just a nerd with too much time on his hands and not enough supervision as a child. That's pretty much it. Yeah. Played a lot of StarCraft as well. I think we have to introduce the players, so I'll just say in the bottom right, we've got the red Protoss player. He is PiLiPiLi.
And in the top left side, we're looking at the main base of the Swedish Zerg, who has been living in Canada for quite a few years now. This is Sidestorm Gaming's in Namshar. I did like that he was switching it up, because that is not what I expected from Namshar. He's normally always so safe, so solid, so defensive, and you can kind of scribble it out. And I honestly don't think that Pili ever expected Namshar to go for the kind of opening and kind of build that he went for. And that's probably why he thought his Tempest build would be good. But it's cool to see that even if Namshar is not spending 12 hours a day on StarCraft, that he's still putting some thought into these games and that he comes up with, yeah, what he thinks will be good versus certain opponents.
And the game plan was strong too. I mean, early road speed, that's not just something that you can use offensively. If Pili was trying to hit him with something like early adepts or any kind of early attack, that's just a, it's a good unit to have. That road speed is something you're always going to be able to use down the line. And there are some vulnerabilities to those Ling-based builds. So with the Lair too, even if he didn't feel like he could go for a Nidus, there's still a lot of other ways to segue out of that if he's on 3 bases. So there's a good flow that you can see from the strategy he takes, even if it is not the standard thing to do. I like it a lot. I'm agreeing with you, Kev.
Cybernetic score is almost done for Pili, and that is when we will see what he's got in store. What is it going to be, mate? We're going to kick things off with an adept. Maybe he took a look at the build order opening, or he obviously saw all these slow links at the end of that game, and he's like, mate, what are you doing over here, skipping out on circling speed? He will once more go for a Stargate, so it's 2 out of 2 Stargate. This would not be surprising if it was any other Protoss, but since it's Pili, I do find it a bit surprising. Namshar is actually building an evolution chamber before going up to 3 hatcheries. That is a bit different, mate.
Yeah, so where does he go with this? Like, I think if it's early Ling melee, like that's kind of popular. I like that a lot. I think anybody who wants to run around with Zerglings, that's usually a good strategy. There's a lot of opportunities that you can open up if the opponent makes a mistake, leaves the wall open, etc., etc. And okay, yeah, that's what it's going to be. I think this makes a whole lot of sense. Not the craziest thing he could have done.
No, not at all. It was just a super early Evo chamber. It was definitely a bit earlier than the way I see Zerg players normally do it. But maybe these adepts can scout it. Pili's opening up with a Phoenix, and +1 Zerglings can be very good against certain Phoenix builds, but I wouldn't say they're necessarily fantastic against all of them. As the Adept Shade does finish up, and that is lovely adept positioning right between the minerals and the extractor. But actually pretty good drone pulls by Namshar, making it very hard for Pili to get all the kills. Does get an extra one there.
4.
And he even gets out of there. I mean, that's obviously very good, right? 1 adept for 4 drones. Lost mining time. And let's not forget, a great scout on that evolution chamber.
Yeah, Phoenix will get to work on the overlords that are on the map. And I mean, from one side of it, it's like, okay, it was a really early +1, really early Ling speed. And I think of it as something that if you get it this fast and you're not intending to do like a super all-in, you're just kind of a little bit safer against stuff. Because if you're forced to use the Lings to defend against like Resonating Glaive Adapt, which is not always the situation you want to be in, but if you get that surround and you have that melee upgrade, you can chew through whatever is there a lot faster. And I think in particular, deny the 3rd base of the Protoss, because if they send out that 1 Oracle or go for that 2nd and they try to take the 3rd with just a single Adept, then the +1 Lings look really good if they go on that. But I mean, you already said it. 1 adept for 4 drones, not bad. Oracle's going to come in, get a few more, and some of the larvae.
Now, this is a phenomenal start for PiLiPiLi. It really doesn't get much better than this. Has killed 7 drones in a 5-minute game. On top of that, Namshar slows down his own economy by going for a super quick +1 melee, and Pili gets the scout off. I had the feeling that maybe Namshar wanted to go for some sort of a Baneling bust, but that part obviously did not include getting scouted this early by the Adepts. Pili does get a 2nd and a 3rd Stargate now, so it's triple Stargate before a Fleet Beacon. But this is actually still a bit adventurous, because how many oracles do we have? Okay, 2 oracles. Then I guess it's okay.
Yeah, I can see it getting weird just because the Lings have melee, but even that Spore Crawler not really in the position to save these drones, so it takes another little bit of a hit. And when you have a really good economy, then the Ling style like this feels amazing.
Oh no, you opened the door.
Somebody out, but comes over, catch some of the Adepts on the outside, but doesn't really have the numbers to overwhelm. And I do think part of that, it comes from the drones that have been lost. It adds up. 9 workers in the first 5 minutes. That's not something that you don't feel. You can't just brush that off. But the Stargate transition from PiLi, I think, will be fun to watch. Maintaining this third could be very important, though.
Yeah, these adepts are in a bit of a pickle. Now the Oracle's going to show up. They will activate Pulsar Beam immediately, but that's when the Lings will run away and they'll turn around. Super important that PiLi warped in a battery there, because I would have liked to see that actually a bit earlier. But the combination of Oracles, a battery, soon battery overcharge, that's going to obviously keep this Nexus safe. Namshar is going to try his luck one more time, but he's droning up behind it. I think he knows that the early game has just been a bit too messy for him to really commit to something like this. But hey, we can still grab a few workers, and that's actually very good link movement by Namshar. Gets 4 probes, not bad.
Yeah, and with the number of Phoenix continuing to rise, well, Kev, I feel like I get to ask the Oracle here, not quite literally, but you know, you've been known to enjoy a +1 upgraded Phoenix from time to time. What's the direction to go? Is this like he's going to dive in and start grabbing overlords, or just go for drones, or? Well,
I think a bit of everything. So. You just grab whatever you can grab. You want overlords, you want queens as well. Phoenixes with +1 are a lot better against queens than they are without. But I would also always, and I mean always, go for a fleet beacon behind this, because this is a super big investment. And can you win the game with +1 Phoenix forever? Yes, especially if your opponent had a bad early game and isn't ready. But eventually, you kind of want something a bit more powerful than only +1 Phoenixes. But this game has just been so freaking good for PiLi that he can really kind of do whatever the hell he wants. And a single Spore Crawler is not going to stop this many Phoenixes from killing almost every single Overlord that's on the map. And Namshar is going to be supply block for the next 3 minutes.
Yeah, he's going to stay. He's going to supply block him into the Shadow Realm here. It's 79 of 26. That's rough. So he's got 12 Overlords building. So 1,200 minerals just because he's completely caught by this. Does not have what he needed to protect these. And the Phoenix, PiLi's like, I mean, what else are these Phoenix really going to do but just kill more of the Overlords and make it so you can't build? So the Spire, done. But he gets supply blocked at that same time. Again, more Overlords do finish, and now he's trying to build Zerglings because it looked like PiLi was sending something over, clearing out his 4th base, rather. And he's going back into Phoenix production, too. So he is... This is a very memey sort of way to play, and personally, I love it.
I mean, we misrally a Phoenix into the main base. It almost dies. I mean, that was obviously very funny. He supply blocked him. He killed a lot of Overlords. But we actually lost a lot of Phoenix there, too. That wasn't the best Phoenix micro, because for the longest time, it was just a single Spore. So we lost 6 Phoenixes. It's actually very expensive. And we didn't really use the Phoenix energy to lift any drones. So you supply block your opponent, but you're not dealing too much economic damage. This is, in a weird way, still a game, unless PiLi can like follow it up real quick with indeed Zealot charge +1. But it's gonna take a little while because he only just started now. A couple slow Banelings coming in from the right side. Banelings will try to get lucky and actually still get the cannons and whatnot. I feel that PiLi threw a little bit. The Phoenixes were, it looked cool, but he could have done so much more with all these Phoenixes. But the good thing is, he still has a decent amount of them.
Yeah, and the other side of it as well is, they're fast. He's on the map. It gives him vision of everything that he needs to see. So while Corruptors are finally going to come out after what feels like forever, and they're going to have that +1, now the game has changed. It's not really going to be about that air play. He's maybe thinking, oh, are you going into Tempest? It's going to be like last map. No. We got +1. Lots of Zealots being warped in, lots of High Templar, so the option for Archons is there, and he's actually willing to try and poke down some of these Corruptors on the edge. I don't know entirely about that, but at least he knows, okay, the Corruptors are here.
Namshar needs roaches. Exactly. There we go. He's building 6 roaches right now. If Namshar can just get up to, let's say, 10 to 15 roaches, then morph a couple of Banelings, he's actually still going to be fine in this game. The Zealots, they cannot get the job done against a decent amount of Banelings. The biggest problem here are the Archons. So if we can just get a decent amount of roaches, I actually think that Namshar could still win this game, and this is not a game that he was ever supposed to win. But this army is going to get absolutely obliterated by just Banelings alone. PiLi did not expect the Banes to be ready, and now all that's left are a couple of sentries. We do drop some force fields, and those are very good force fields. But can the Archons get in range? No, they break the force fields.
They break the Archons. Force fields. And then he's able to escape. That's tough. I mean, running the 12 Zealots into the Banelings right before charge is done, so there's no possible way for them to really be able to be split or even split themselves with charge. brutal. And the Corruptors are going to be looking to get some damage on this third. The Stalkers do not have Blink, so the positioning could get a little bit awkward.
Yep. I wonder if that battery is in range to heal the Nexus. Yes, it is. So battery overcharge against a whole lot of Corruptors. It's not a lot of fights that battery overcharge loses, but apparently they do lose this fight. I'm actually very surprised as well as Namshar is going to lose a couple of Corruptors. These Archon hits are juicy. The Phoenixes in the center of the map are just lifting a lot of units. I would almost say that's a few too many lifts, because now you actually lack the DPS to kill the majority of the units that you lifted, but I think he will get a second try because he's got energy for days. I'm really surprised that Namshar prioritized attack for the Corruptors over armor while battling this many Phoenixes. I'm shocked by that decision. He's obviously, this is not his first rodeo. He's done this many times. I really think that armor is a lot better.
Trying to lift up some of the roaches to help support the Gateway army on the ground. And I think here you just got to eat it from the Corruptors and just try and make the most of it. The Stalkers splitting out as the Banelings go past the Archons. Archons towards the front are going to get popped. So maybe if some of the Lings are able to flood through here, there is just one Archon to protect these Stalkers against them. Let's remember, Blink is not done yet. So just a very awkward situation all around. He takes out this hatchery. The drones, I think he's trying to pull him back and make sure they don't reveal that base on the top right, but he knows. At the same time, the Corruptors are going back, trying to find something to pee on in PiLiPiLi's base.
Yeah, I mean, we just need to make a couple of extra roaches. As Pili is not paying attention, loses an Archon, loses two Stalkers there. He does finally have Blink now, but don't forget that he lost his third base, so his economy is obviously not that great either. And it's still 3 bases against, now 3 bases again. But obviously Namshar can actually just saturate that rich Vespian base, as he did survive that battle. And I think Namshar is going to be fine. He's going to try to get lucky in the main base, and he should absolutely be able to kill this Nexus too. Battery overcharge, he will save it, as the Stalker scared Namshar there. I think if I was Namshar, I would have committed to it, because losing Corruptors here is not that big of a deal, since it's not about the Corruptors and Phoenixes anymore.
Yeah, that's definitely an interesting move there. Might as well stick it out. He did kill 17 Overlords this game with those Phoenix, by the way. Just wanted to get that number out there as the Ling Ravager attempts to protect this, I want to say 4th. Technically, the other base now would be his 4th, but this original 4th position, as it is almost done. And it's just pure Stalkers. So this is where I feel like having those +2 on the Lings is just so nice, because even with Blink, if he takes one bad fight and gets caught, then he's just stuck.
Yep. This many Stalkers are going to go down a hatchery, though, relatively quickly. The drones around. I would just attack move right now with my drones, man. Force the Stalkers to blink across them. No, the drones is going to get transferred back to the original 4th base, but I think your call on the Lings there is perfect, Nate. Lings with +2 are going to have a field day. All the Archons have disappeared. I don't see a single Archon on the map. Pili is absolutely running out of resources. Main base pretty much totally dried up, and even the natural doesn't have too many resources left. So if Pili wants to win this game, he needs to do it in the next minute, and all that Namshar needs to do is survive and indeed spam Lings, Roaches, Ravages for days.
Yeah, I thought he was going to do that too, though, what you were pointing out earlier with the drones. Like, I thought maybe he was moving them further away in the hopes that he would blink into the drones and then attack move them, but does not want to give up the workers, or at least too many of them. Now, while he gets the cancel on this base, PiLiPiLi has taken his 4th. It is just underway, and he's now moving into Sidestorm. So these are definitely things that can help down the line.
Look at the minimap, Nate. The Lings around is coming in, and I think that, he just blinked.
Yeah, there it is.
These Stalkers are going to get stuck. Recall has been activated, but a couple of them die, and a lot of them have been left behind. Beautiful Ling movement there by Namshar. That was lovely. He's going to get each and every single Stalker. And honestly, he just needs to keep pushing right now. Make sure that Pili does not get his hands on that 4th base.
Yeah, he will see Templar with energy, but Storm is not ready yet. He still has about 14 seconds as that's going to finish. So if he had gone straight there immediately with the Lings, I think maybe could have done something, but it is about to finish as he approaches that base.
He actually killed a Phoenix with Corrosive Bile. That was pretty nice. Yeah, Namshar just didn't know about the 4th base, so he's running into a very well-defended 3rd that is honestly not as important as this 4th base that's very exposed. But he does know that the units are out of position, and we've got 51 Banelings morphing at once. So Namshar says, I don't give a damn that you've got a couple of cannons and batteries there. Here come the Ravagers, supported by 51 Banelings. And these boys will just keep on rolling in. Nice storm, though.
I was gonna say he's trying to go full so many banelings here. I think making sure to kill this base is still huge. The storm is starting to complicate things a little bit, at least until he runs out. Bane's trying to get through the stalkers into the middle of it. One of those Ravagers actually got into the middle of the army as well. Big dreams, big goals. Does get the Nexus. Very important. Pili has the more fresh base now, but 50 more Lings are coming out, and well, the Templar don't have infinite energy. This is not Nina versus Scarlet yesterday, where there were 16 High Templar running around bullying the map.
I like how there is still one Phoenix. No! The last Phoenix does fall. Stalkers blink forward. They're gonna try their luck, but there are so many freaking Zerglings, and how many storms are left? Apparently, enough to at least push back the Lings at first. I mean, Pili is even more committed than he was before, as he's now down to 36 probes. Does still have that new base, fully saturated, but he obviously knows that he needs to do a lot more than he's been doing. We don't have a prison, we don't have a gateway to reinforce, so all the reinforcements have to come from the other side of the map. That Nexus is in a bit of trouble right now as well, as the Corruptors are going to do their thing. And I think we are looking at the closing moments, as we do have one more storm, but not a sexy surround, as we blink straight into the Banelings, and that means that these Baneling connections are perfect, and Namshar, his engagements have been perfect. That will do it. GG 2-0 for our Swedish-Canadian Zerg.